World War II wasn't won by bullets alone. It was won by trucks, fuel, and food. The challenge of figuring out what made logistics so crucial to the outcomes of World War II. Logistics might seem like a dry topic, but trust me, it's fascinating. Imagine being able to move millions of soldiers and tons of equipment across vast distances, ensuring they have food, fuel, and ammunition exactly when they need it. That's logistics in a nutshell. And during World War II, it played a huge role in determining the outcome of battles and, ultimately, the war itself. The Allies and Axis powers faced enormous logistical challenges. For the Allies, one major headache was the Atlantic supply route. With Germany's U-boats threatening to cut off their supply lines, the Allies had to come up with creative solutions to keep their troops fed and armed. On the other hand, the Axis powers struggled with resource shortages, particularly as the war dragged on and their enemies tightened the noose. Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union, for instance, was a logistical nightmare. They had to move thousands of troops and tons of equipment over long distances, using roads and railways that were often in disrepair. This slowed down their advance and made it harder for them to respond to changing circumstances on the battlefield. The Soviet Union, meanwhile, had to deal with its own logistical issues, like mobilizing resources from its vast territory and coordinating with its allies. The Allies also faced significant challenges in the Pacific, where they had to transport troops and supplies across vast distances to fight on remote islands. The construction of airfields and ports was crucial here, allowing them to project power and keep their forces supplied. Let's look at some specific battles. D-Day, for example, was a logistics marvel. The Allies managed to land thousands of troops on the beaches of Normandy, along with huge amounts of equipment and supplies. This was only possible because of meticulous planning and coordination between different branches of the military. On the other hand, the Axis powers' failure to adequately supply their troops during the Battle of Stalingrad was a major factor in their defeat. The Allies' success in the Battle of El Alamein in Egypt was another example of superior logistics. They managed to concentrate their forces and supplies, break through the Axis lines, and push them back. This was a turning point in the North African campaign, and it showcased the importance of logistics in military strategy. The D-Day landings themselves were a prime example of logistics in action. The Allies assembled a massive fleet of ships and landing craft, transporting troops and equipment across the English Channel. Once ashore, they had to establish supply lines to keep their forces fed and armed. The tide of the war turned in favor of the Allies during the Battle of the Bulge, where their superior logistics allowed them to overcome a surprise German attack. They moved troops and supplies rapidly, encircling and defeating the German forces. In the end, it's clear that logistics played a crucial role in the Allied victory. Effective logistics meant that troops had the supplies they needed, when they needed them, and that the military could execute its strategy with precision. So, the next time you're thinking about major battles and turning points in World War II, don't just think about the fighting, think about the trucks, ships, and planes that made it all possible. What do you think? How important do you think logistics is in modern warfare? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested in more videos on military strategy, be sure to check out my next video on the strategic decisions that shaped the outcome of World War II.